Greetings, everyone, and thank you so very much for joining us here today for the fifth annual National Day of Racial Healing in the state of Arkansas. We are so excited today. We got a chance to go to the Arkansas Municipal League to read off, not all, but there were 85 total, or in the 80s total, of municipalities, including mayors, almost 70 of them in different counties, and also county judges and the Little Rock School District, and also several other city leaders who signed a proclamation for the National Day of Racial Healing. And so we're really excited about that and just honored. It was a great press conference, and we just want to thank the national office, the National Day of Racial Healing, the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, for hosting and also founding the National Day of Racial Healing. And so we're really, again, excited about being a part of that in the state of Arkansas. This is our second year. Last year was our inaugural National Day of Racial Healing, and that was a 2 to 3 day. We stretched it out. We wanted it to be more than one day. We wanted it to be this time we decided we wanted to be at least a week. And so we know our history. We know the history and some of the dark past in history in the state of Arkansas. And so we wanted to make sure that as a community, as organizers, and as organizations and leaders, we stretch that day out and make it an important part of what we're doing. We have MLK Jr.'s National Day of Service the day before, and we wanted to just keep it going throughout the week. So again, thank you so much. My name is Clarice Abdul-Bey. I am the co-director of the Ouachita Foothills Youth Media Arts and Literacy Collective, and the co-convener, one of the co-conveners of the Arkansas Peace and Justice Memorial Movement, which is a project of the Ouachita Foothills Youth Media Arts and Literacy Collective. And so we're really excited about the art of racial healing. And then we're very excited about the fact that we have some amazing individuals and artists with us. We have I call her Dr. A. Many people call her Dr. A, Dr. D, Dr. Lex, all those wonderful names. I'm going to get to her in just a second, but I wanted to make sure that I recognize all of the sponsors, all of the supporters and the contributors to the National Day of Racial Healing in the state of Arkansas. One being UCA, the University of Central Arkansas, who is the host site that is hosting the National Day of Racial Healing through hip hop today. And so we want to thank them and let them know how appreciative we are for their partnership and all of their help during this whole the whole month or so that we were planning and trying to figure out what it is we were going to do and working things through. So thank you so very much to everyone at UCA, the entire team. We have Dylan with us tonight, being the tech guy. So we really appreciate you, Dylan, and all that you do. And let's see. Orgs in the chat, sure. I'll try to check the chat also as we continue to try to keep up with what people are asking us to do. But what I want to do is I want to introduce this lovely lady. Dr. Alexis Davis is not only she's not only an amazing professor, she is also an amazing being and individual. Um, we met some time ago, a year ago, on the campus of Philander Smith College, and she has been a light in my life ever since. She's just brought so much to um, me personally, professionally, in the areas of healing and in art, and I'm just so grateful for her. Um, I also want to say that she was right now she's in Tanzania, which is a big deal because you left about a week ago. Has it been 2 weeks already? Dr.
It
A?
has been it's 2:05 here and it's been 20 days today.
Wow. 20
Yeah.
days that she's been
Yeah.
gone, and she left and repadded to Tanzania. She went home, we'd like to say. And so I'm just really excited for you and your journey. I'm gonna read a little bit about who she is. I know her personally, but I want to just give you the professional lens. Dr. Alexis Davis has been trained as a clinical psychologist, a Reiki master, a divine healer. Furthermore, Dr. Alexis Davis has deemed herself as a hip hopologist as she weaves hip hop with the liberation of the psyche of Africans in America and across the diaspora. Dr. Alexis Davis is the founder of Black Jewel, BBLVK, which is a community organization that aims to highlight the jewels in the community serving people of African descent. Black Jewels podcast is currently in its second season, and be sure to go and check it out on all streaming platforms: Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, etc. Dr. Alexis Davis provides professional and personal development training on cultural humility, working with clients of African descent, hip hop healing workshops, as well as workshops and on other workshops on transgenerational trauma and healing among people of African descent. And I want to thank Dr. Davis for taking the time out of her schedule and her day. And again, right now it's about 1 o'clock in Tanzania. And I just really appreciate you being with us this evening. We love you. We miss you. We thank you. She's a native Kansas City. How do you say that?
I'm laughing
Because
because
I
it
want to
does
get it
sound
wrong.
was something my nephew said the other day. But I just say I'm from Kansas City.
Okay. she's 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 originally from Kansas City, and so we have with us um some more, I want to say Kansas Cityans, but that sounds crazy, with us, New Black City, and you guys will get a chance to hear from them. They're going to be collaborating with Dr. A this evening on some hip hop, healing, jazz. They're more than hip hop, and you'll get a chance to see that. And we're very excited to have you guys with us too. So we appreciate you. Without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Dr. A to go ahead and present. Thank you for, again, joining us, everyone who's watching, to the art of racial healing, healing through hip hop.
Please, thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to say Mrs. Abdul-Bey as well as sis. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much for having me. And thanks for everybody that's tuned in, because tonight's going to be fun, I think. So once the slides get up, we're going to get right into it. Can you hear me? I'm just going to double check.
So yeah, come closer to the microphone because you're just a little faint.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah. Can you pull it up just a little bit?
Okay, that's what happens when you try to have these angles. I'm on my phone and then the audio is on the iPad. So how does that sound? Is that better?
If you are able to bring it up just a little bit more, try. If not, then we will.
Okay, can you, I'm just feeling awkward, but can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, let's keep it right here then. So it'll
I
just
think
look
it was
like I have a
me.
book.
Honestly, I
Huh?
think it was me. I apologize. Continue.
Okay. Okie dokie. So, um, will Dylan, I'm sorry, be able to share the screen?
Yes, Dylan, are you there?
Yes. Hey, Clarice, can you give me the ability to share my screen as the host?
Yeah, let me let's see. Dylan. Okay. Let me get my tech person in here. Kwame, where are you?
Clarice, you can also make me the host and then I can share.
Can you guys hear me better now?
That sounds good.
Awesome.
You're good to go, Dylan. And Dr. A, you sound great.
Thank you. All right. As I love to say in the podcast, we are live. So, welcome everybody tuning in. Today's presentation is going to be on hip hop, in between hip hop culture and African mental health. As introduced, my name is Alexis Dr. A. Davis, and today I have some amazing special guests, New Black City, with me to do a little bit of interactive concert. So let's move on into the presentation. Oh, back it up for me then. Let's go back to the title because I think I had an introduction song. That's correct. Do you still have that? We got to warm our bodies up with a little music. Now, while we're getting the music ready, when you hear this song come on, okay? If this song brings up a memory, a emotion, or it makes you want to dance, I want you to hit the chat with the number 1, okay?
Hey, Dr. A, my audio wasn't working. So Clarice, can you play that song?
Yes, I'm pulling it up now.
Thank you all so much. So when this song drops, everybody, if you feel some type of emotion, you get excited, you do a little dance, I need to see a 1 in the chat, okay? Clarice, if you're playing it, you may have to unmute your mic.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so guys, remember, if we feel an emotion, we get happy, do a little dance, we're going to hit the chat with a 1. If you don't, you can put a 2. But be honest, okay? Because I know I'm going to put a 1 in the chat.
Running records taking over for the 99 and 2000.
Oh, I see a 1. Okay, let's see the ones. I put my 1 in there. I got another 1. I know, right, Clarice? I got some 1s. Okay, so I see who I got with me. Okay, 1, but difficult to hear. Okay. Okay, I see the 1. All right, we can cut the music. Thank you so much. So now we can move on to the next slide. So why start off with that song, right? That song to me, whenever I hear Cash Money taking over for the 99 and 2000, I know it's about to be a good time. I'm talking about if I'm with my sorority sisters, I know we finna bust out the stroll. I know if I'm at a family reunion, I'm finna see a lot of people on the dance floor. Wherever I'm at, I know that that's going to give a good energy to the vibe because everybody's going to dance. It's going to bring up some type of memory, and it's just going to make us all feel good. So I wanted to show us right off the bat the power of ourselves and the power of music. So let's go on to the next slide. And thank you all so much for turning up with me. So I'm just going to jump right on into this because I'm going to be talking through this presentation about my personal life, my theory, and the development of this theory. So before I get into that, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Sankofa is really important to me. So we must all go back and get everybody, make sure we all know what everything is. So the first term that we're going to want to know is mental health. And I want us to be mindful of the frame that these definitions have been given. Western psychology, okay? So mental health is a person's condition with regard to their emotional, psychological, and social well-being and the way in which distress interacts with these domains. So we have emotional, psychological, and social well-being, okay? And the way in which distress interacts with these domains. Remember that. Then we have bipolar 1 disorder. I'm going to mention this when I'm talking about my story. So I just want to make sure that everybody is aware of what this disorder is. So it's a brain disorder that causes unusual shifts in mood, energy, activity levels, and the ability to carry out day-to-day tasks. So sometimes you can experience mania. So that's a symptom or it's a phase of bipolar disorder. And it's a mood state characterized by at least a period of 1 week with an elevated, expansive, or unusually irritable mood, okay? So you see a lot of shifts. You may see somebody doing a lot of shopping, or you may see somebody having a lot of sex. It's like really impulsive behaviors. And then we have parentification, okay? So this is the process of role reversal where the child is expected to carry out parental roles for their parents. In extreme cases, the child could be used to fill the void of the alienating parent's emotional life. So, for instance, let's say there's a child who assumes all of the emotional responsibility and take care of their siblings while their parents go to work all the time, right? I want us to pay attention to the difference between the definition of nigrescence and mental health. So nigrescence is defined by Dr. William Cross, who is a Black clinical psychologist. It's a resocializing experience which seeks to transform a non-Afrocentric pre-existing identity into one that is Afrocentric, okay? So when we're looking at mental health, there's some things that stood out to me about this definition, okay? So it's a person's condition with regard to their emotional, psychological, and social well-being and the way in which distress interacts with these domains. When we're thinking of people of African descent, our history, usually when we talk about coming into the United States, starts with what? Distress. So when we think of the term mental health in our regards, it's set up in a way where we're always going to experience some type of illness with our emotional, psychological, and social well-being, because the start of our history in this space, Western world, begins with distress. So we have to look at models that have been framed for us, by us, and with us in mind. So I want to make sure that we're looking through the lens of nigrescence during this presentation. So a resocializing experience which seeks to transform non-Afrocentric pre-existing identity into one that is Afrocentric. So let me see a 1 in the chat. This is going to be interactive if you guys haven't picked up on that already. Let me see a 1 in the chat if everybody understands those definitions. Let me see some 1s. I see some 1s. 1, thank you, thank you. I love participation, guys. We might be online, but we can still interact with each other, can't we? All right, so let's go on to the next slide. Thank you so much, Mr. West. So let's go ahead and get into the debate that is always the debate, right? Rap versus hip hop. So remember, this is according to my theory and me, okay? And I'm gonna do the Erykah Badu thing of keep in mind I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about, okay. So rap is a subculture of hip hop, which is the culture, okay? So we're gonna start with the culture, hip hop. A culture comprised of individuals of African descent, originally composed of graffiti, breakdancing, rap music, and DJing. And those could be known as the pillars. They have expanded to include many other pillars, including such things as knowledge of self, right? And hip hop has been deemed to have started on August 11, 1973 by DJ Kool Herc, when DJing and MCing was cut together. Now, depending on what borough you're from in New York, that date might be debatable, okay? But we're going to use that date for this presentation. And rap is a form of communication with a distinct cultural narrative within the Black experience. It's an expression of Black culture that places marginalized Black voices to the forefront. And we saw it hit mainstream with Rapper's Delight in 1979. There was some controversy around that song because there were some lyrics that may have come from some older DJs, but that is the song that hit mainstream and took hip hop and rap culture to a whole nother level. We could go to the next slide. So now, this is not all going to just be theory. I want you all to get to know the person behind this theory, okay? So me plus hip hop, specifically rap music, equals feeling. What does that equation mean, right? I didn't know what feeling meant until I heard Quiet Storm Remix featuring Lil' Kim. And I heard her say, hot damn ho, here we go again. And when I said, oh my God, that's me, like that's my voice. I heard my voice literally on the radio. And one, there were so many connections with it because my dad had given me the cassette tape and I was like 8 or 9. So maybe, shouldn't have had it, but we're going to thank him for that. So I was listening to the mixtape and it had like Faith Evans, Biggie Smalls, and then I remember that song because if you know Quiet Storm, you know it starts in dun, 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 like the slow and the storm, and then the beat drops and you hear Lil' Kim's voice. But when her verse started, I mean, she bodied them, okay? She bodied them. And so I felt all types of things. And we can go to the next slide and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. So what you see on the screen are the intersecting identities of my woman who had, based on westernized medicine, mental health issues. She was diagnosed bipolar and schizophrenic. At the time, she was an addict who was addicted to crack cocaine and a sex worker. And so when I say feeling, I had become numb to feelings as a child because I was parentified. I was taking care of my mother, or I was taking care of myself. So all of her intersecting identities led to me being parentified and really not knowing how to place emotions in the correct spot. So we can go on to the next slide. So this is me, and just this is me as a child. I think I was 2 years old in this. So just as a child, these are some things that I experienced: trauma, neglect, hunger, anxiety, depression, rejection, low self-worth, imposter phenomena, pain, isolation, sexual abuse, all of the gamut, right? And these are experiences that people of African descent, especially and specifically in the United States, sad to say that these are commonalities. And so let's go on to the next slide. So the moment rap collided with mental health for me. This is a funny story to me, and my family will never let me live this story down. So I'm welcoming y'all into the family, so feel privileged, okay? So my mom, when she was in a manic state, and yeah, she was in a manic state, she decided to join the Nation of Islam. And it was interesting because she lived in a compound and she was eating bacon. She probably would get me for telling this story, but she was eating bacon and it was just so funny. But she told me, like, okay, I'm changing my name, and in order for you to come and visit me, you have to change your name too. And so one day, me, my sister, and my cousin were on the porch, and they were, "What are you going to change your name to?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to change my name to Kim with an E because I love little Kim." And so that moment, though, stood out to me because, yes, they teased me about that moment for so long. But I sat and I thought about that moment. It was so pivotal for me to say, oh, Kim is the name that I want to take because of little Kim. She gave me power because other people may say other adjectives about her, and everyone's entitled to their own opinions. And when we get to the steps, you'll understand that more. But for me, little Kim taught me that I get to choose my womanhood through healing my trauma in whatever way that looks like. Whether that looks like me saying, look, I'm a woman. I may be short, I may be small, whatever the case may be, but I can rap larger than anything else. I could do anything that I set my mind to. Like she said, I put 100% in every line that I drop in Quiet Storm. So, those are affirmations that became manifestations of my life. So I'm really, this is the moment rap collided with mental health for me. And I was able to see, like, this was really pivotal in my life. And I was very impacted by it. So we can go to the next slide. So I fell in love with rap. And I mean, I remember me and my sister would be watching List 3 Jams. If you're from Kansas City, 816, you know that that's one of the best radio stations. Watching 106 in Park, Rap City, all of the anything. We would be listening to local artists. Like, rap became our way to communicate with each other because really we didn't start communicating emotions until we were a bit older. So music was the way we were able to say, how are you doing? This is how I'm doing. This is how I'm feeling. Let me check in with you. We can go to the next slide. And then I started thinking about back to, well, where was the influence of me reaching, like, okay, I want to know about Africa. There's something more than just the United States. There's something more than just what I'm getting. And that's because I attended Sanford B. Ladd African Center H.E.A.L.E.D. And there I learned African dance, Black collectivism, ancestral connection, because we had to do we had to learn one about different countries. So each grade, you literally moved or you were from a different country. So one year I was from Benin, one year I was from Mali. And we had to learn about those countries and the different cities and their culture. And it was a Black and brown space. It was 99.5% Black. So I was able to see and feel the energy of what it meant to really delve into yourself beyond just our history that we get as slaves or enslaved people. So love for rap grows into a passion for hip hop. And all of that collided with African culture to me. Because when I think about rappers, I think about griots. And griots go and they tell the story of their tribes. And what do rappers do? How do we know who's doing what dance on the East Coast? How do we know, right? Because rappers inform us of that. When you think of African drums, that's like the heartbeat of all music. The tree is life. It gives us breath. Trees have seen more than any of us have seen ever and will ever seen. When we think of bass and rap music, what is that? You hear back that ass up, what you gonna do? You're gonna go to that volume and you're gonna turn that up and you're gonna feel that dun, dun, right? And it's gonna do something to your body. You're gonna feel that, which is those vibrations, which connect us with our spirits. And those spirits connect us with our ancestors. So when we're listening to hip hop music, is something so much deeper than just having fun. That's why we were able to have those ones in the chat when we heard that song. That's why we're able to go to music and feel so much better. Our bodies, we can dance and twerking and all of that, right? It's powerful. So raised in Kansas City. I went through all of the schooling, was in high school, learning about myself. And then I had a big crit moment. And this is a quote from one of his songs. I got to get away from that bullshit that they own, right? So you saw all of the childhood experiences that I had, and I wanted to get away and be able to find myself. I wanted to be able to heal myself and outside of the narrative of all of the trauma. And so because I had been based in the African Center School, I knew early on that HBCU life was the only life that I wanted to do. So we can hit the next slide. And I entered Philander Smith College in Little Rock, Arkansas in 2009. There, mental health and leadership became important to me. Through many different leadership roles, I was also able to engage in understanding mental health. As a resident assistant, I was able to hear the halls blasting with music because I had to do rounds and hear people having to knock on people's door and tell them turn their music down. But that also showed me as a budding psychologist the impact of music and how many people, not just me, use music to help them cope and process. In this picture, you see the wonderful 16 Destined Souls of Distinction, my beautiful line sisters. Shout out to the Mother Chapter Gamma Gamma, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So you see chapter president. Mental health, I learned about my own as well while balancing, being all of these other things that you see on the screen and chapter president. I learned about how to manage my own mental health. I learned about emotional intelligence. I learned about the power of my emotions impacting other people's emotions. And it was such a powerful experience to be able to do that as a college student. So I know that this is for college students. So use all of your positions to propel you into your purpose. Never think that you're in a position just for no reason. You're there for a reason. So get that lesson, even if it means you bumping your head, even if it means you messing up and making mistakes. Do it out loud now so that you can get to the point where you can talk about it like this, okay? Because people will need to hear your mistakes so they can climb the ladder. So all of these things happen, and we can go back to the slide. Thank you so much. All of these things happened while I was at Philander Smith College, and being the president of the Robert L. Williams Psychology Club shifted my life in terms of my career. So Dr. Robert L. Williams, if you guys don't know, I'm going to just do a pause for the cause and talk about him for a minute because he is my mentor and he transitioned last year. And he gave so much to this culture. And I mean, he's still giving, guys. He has posthumously written books and will be releasing books. So, I mean, he's still giving to us as an ancestor. So we have slang, we have ebonics because Dr. Robert L. Williams, he did the research and coined the term ebonics, ebony and phonics, and he connected that with us doing African retentionists. So that's us retaining our African language through slang. And he did that research. So a part of him, we should thank him for even being able to have rap culture, because we know all the lyrics, most of the lyrics is in our language, which is what? Ebonics. So he also, helped us to have a scholarly way to say, we talk how we talk, and it's our language, not just a dialect, it's a language. So being the president of that club exposed me to Black psychologists who were African-centered and who was doing the work not in the box, but outside of the box. And they gave me permission to be outside of the box. I mean, this man came and spoke to students, and he has the Black Intelligence Test for Cultural Homogeneity. And if you're quick on your feet, that's a acronym for bitch. And so someone asked him, well, why did you name that test the bitch test? He said, because testing is a bitch. And I just cracked up and said, thank you so much, because you gave me permission to be myself and use explicit language and be a scholar. So I just wanted to take a pause for the cause and give some knowledge about that, and just share how being African-centered and being grounded in our roots helps heal generations, even when we're not paying attention, even when we're just being ourselves. So we can go to the next slide. After Philander, my senior year at Philander, I started thinking about in experimental psychology, well, what would it look like for me to actually research the impact of rap on Black mental health specifically? And I wrote a paper. And of course, in undergrad, it was a literature review. And so that was good for me because it prepared me for graduate school. And so I did the research of what the other scholars had said, and I saw something that made me so excited. Other people were saying that healing takes place through music, specifically rap music. And so I said, well, you know what? That gave me permission to start calculating a dissertation, because if you know me, I'm always planning at least probably 10 to 20 years ahead in my mind. So I was like, there we go. That's my niche. So when I got to graduate school, my dissertation is actually titled The Link Between Racial Bias and Attitudes and Perception of Contemporary Rap Music, Racial Identity, and Self-Esteem Among Black College-Age Men and Women. So the whole purpose of my study, I assessed whether there was an effect of exposure to different music videos on Black college-age individuals' racial bias, attitudes, and perceptions of contemporary rap music. So there, Dr. Edgar Tyson is one of the few scholars who has coined actual therapy. So his therapy is hip hop therapy. And he's a social worker. He was a social worker, actually. He has since transitioned. But the beautiful thing about Dr. Tyson is that he also left us with a gift. We have some beautiful ancestors, guys. He left us with a gift, which is the rap scale. And I was honored to be able to work with him and utilize this scale for my dissertation. So it is the rap attitudes and perception scale. And he broke rap down into 3 categorizations: violent misogynistic rap music, which focuses on violent acts, demoralizing lyrics towards women; empowerment rap, which focuses on political upliftment. It focuses on consciousness and the liberation of the African psyche. And then he had dance rap. So that's like, our whip, our nay-nay, the electric slide. That's the fun house music that we just gonna listen to have a good time. That's that family reunion music, right? So what I wanted to do was see, when I expose individuals to certain types of music, what would be a shift in their racial identity? Would there be a shift in their self-esteem? Would there be a shift in their implicit biases towards race? Okay, so they took the survey. They took the CRIS, which is the Cross Racial Identity Scale. That's the theory of nigrescence. That's the scale that came from that. And then they took the rap scale questionnaire, and then they were exposed to one of those 3 types of music. So I love Kendrick Lamar. So of course I use K-Dot for the empowerment. I use I Love Myself for the empowerment video. So participants watched that video, listened to the lyrics, and then they took the racial implicit bias test again, as well as the CRIS again. Then I assessed also the relationship among racial identity, collective self-esteem, attitudes and perceptions of rap music and gender of students at a historically Black university in the southern region of the United States. So the good thing about this was none of my original hypotheses, were significant. And I know you're probably like, why is that good? Because you want it to be significant so that you could get published. Well, I'm not the typical researcher. I want to know other things out of my research. And when it wasn't significant, it made me look at maybe why it wasn't significant. Because the research looked like what other people were putting the narrative of rap. That if you listen to negative music, you had a negative perception, then you had a negative self-esteem, then you had a negative this. But that doesn't have to be the case. And these statistics that I saw kind of start making me think about that. So first, the population of my study, about 20% were male and almost 80% were female. So one, it let me know, okay, the personification of rap music, you would just see like males, right? You would think like a lot of Black males listen to it, but my study was like, no, the sisters, we like it. We like it a lot, actually. And 30.2% of participants reported rap music as their favorite music genre, with 50% reported empowerment, positive rap music as their favorite categorization of rap music. So that piqued my interest because I remember when I was doing research for my thesis, data collection for my thesis, a lot of the students were coming up to me after they turned in their survey and they said, I really like violent misogynistic rap, but I didn't want to put that down because I felt like maybe people would see me wrong. And it kept happening every time I went to do data collection. And so I fine-tuned and looked into my research and started looking at what the racial identity looked like. What did the self-esteem look like? And they weren't low. And the identity looked like people that were either transitioning into an Afrocentric identity or were already there. So then that made me think about, well, if these individuals really, really, really do listen to violent misogynistic rap music, is it true then that they would have a negative identity or a negative self-esteem when I'm seeing that they have like stable identities or transitioning into Afrocentric identities and healthy self-esteem? You know, those are questions that started rising in my head. And then almost 50% of participants reported understanding the content of lyrics they listened to very often. So even though they were listening to violent misogynistic rap music, I knew that they were understanding the lyrics because almost half my population says so, right? And then research articles that I've studied has also shown that individuals typically, specifically Black Africans in America, tend to listen to music that represents their reality. So then that made me start thinking back to my own childhood and the music that I connected to and why I was connecting to that music, which led to this theory. So now we can go to the next slide. So now I'm here and I see you. And that's the most beautiful thing about it all, right? Because some people would say I'm on the other side of education. I'd say I'm just on a further side of the continuum. But I understand what it means to be a college student and what it means to use hip hop to heal. I always tell the story in my presentations because I think that it's a wonderful example of me using hip hop. So one of my little sisters always jokes about this because she was coming to visit me in my room. And she said, I got on the elevator and I heard this loud bass, like boom, 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 boom. And she was like, somebody is kicking it. And so she's like, she's going up the elevator and just get louder, louder, boom, boom. So she said she get off and she opened the door and we had suites. And so she's going to the hall and she's like, this coming from Lex suite. Then she gets to my door and she knocks on, this coming from Lex door. And so I was listening to Little Boosie set it off. And she said, you opened the door and you were like, hey, how are you? So calm. And so I had to tell her, like, at that time, I used Little Boosie to meditate. And most people would think like, what? You use Lil Boosie set it off to meditate? Like, that's not a peaceful song. But it made me understand the power of peace, right? The power of peace is truly to know that you have rage within you and to control that rage and then move it into a power of love, right? And so I would literally sit and listen to Lil Boosie set it off because it's literally saying, like, you want to talk, you want to run your mouth, you want some gangster set them up, house, we'll set this off, right? So it's literally saying, like, okay, we could go there if you want to take it there. And I would imagine myself taking it there. And then I would imagine myself walking across the stage as Dr. Lex. And then I would imagine myself speaking. And then I would imagine myself like, and thinking about what is the greater thing that I would want to set off. Like, what is the greater good for myself? And so, I mean, that for me also showed the power of music, no matter what the categorization of the music is. It's the person's internalization of the music that matters most. So I see you and I want to share my theory with you in hopes that it helps to empower you and that it helps for you to understand that your mental health matters and the way that you heal, there's nothing wrong with it. Let's go to the next slide. All right. So again, y'all know I'm interactive. So let's hit it with the chat. I've been talking a lot. I'm going to take some water after I ask this question and I'm going to expect some answers in the chat. Okay. I'm going to accept some answers I won't expect. I'll allow that for you guys. What words or phrases come to mind when you think of the terms mental health and internalized depression? Anxiety. Ah, yes. Yes, definitely. Anger and rage. Yes, Ashay. I'd say shame. That was a word that came up in another presentation. Do I have the power or do they? Ah, so questioning. Yes, that's a great. Thank you, Mr. West. Confusion. Ah, yes. Yes. Thank you so much, guys. And as more words come in, I'm still going to look at that. And so I wanted to bring fear of going with rage. Ah, who wins, them or me? That's true because we know when it's a little difficult, right, to embrace emotions when your emotions are so stereotyped. Right? So, yeah, like that's a valid question. Like, if I get enraged as a Black woman, am I going to get the angry Black woman narrative, right? If I get enraged as a Black man, do I become violent? Do I become a threat? Like, so it's like the range of emotions always become questionable as acceptable or not for us. So, yes, Mr. West, I can agree with that as well. All right. And you guys can keep the chat coming. I know that maybe some answers will come up. Again, this is interactive. I'm going to go on to the next slide just for respect of time. So I want to introduce the impact of internalized oppression when thinking about mental health, okay? And so we're going to look at this in terms of a pyramid. And the base of this pyramid of oppression is ideological. So there are ideologies that are at the root of this issue, right? So racism, sexism, classism, all the isms that we could think of, right? Those are the ideologies that serve the base of oppression. Then we can go to the next slide. Then we have those institutional, right? That institutional level that carries out those ideologies, like the criminal legal system with mass incarceration, prison industrial complex, healthcare system or lack thereof, or certain populations, and the lack thereof of insurance coverage that covers mental health services. You know, the list could go on. And then at the top of the pyramid for the next slide is one of the ones that where internalized oppression hits the hardest because it's at that interpersonal level where we start seeing abuse, where we start seeing mistreatment, violence, microaggressions, right? Those things that really start hitting the soul and spirit of people. So all of that interpersonal, ideological, and institutional systems of oppression Internalized oppression is defined as that being then placed on a group or an individual, and they then become the target of that said oppression. Okay. So when we look at mass incarceration, who's being mostly impacted by mass incarceration? And then when we look at the impact of mass incarceration, who's then less likely to vote, less likely to become homeowners, less likely to. So there's extensions of this oppression, right? That then impacts the different levels, whether it be interpersonal, ideological, or institutional. We can go to the next slide. So once those levels of oppression are applied to that group or individual and they become the target of oppression, that's then when we see internalized oppression. So we may see internalized homophobia, internalized sexism, racism, and it may look like toxic shame. Thank you. So then we see an introjection of oppression onto self, because it doesn't just stop at internalizing the idea, right? Or internalizing that oppression. It has to go somewhere. It has to move. Energy does not stay stagnant. It keeps moving. And oppression is very much an energy, okay? So that introjection of oppression onto self could look like substance use, self-destructive behaviors, low self-esteem, self-sabotage, and self-harming behaviors, or etc. Okay. And so when I'm talking about that introjection of oppression onto self, it's also important for us to understand this, because when we look at westernized mental health, it'll have us thinking that everything we go through is paranoia or it's not valid. So we must understand our mental health through this lens so that we can be able to validate and confirm each other in this healing process. And in this cycle of oppression, in my theory, the most harmful level is that horizontal hostility. And that's when internalized oppression becomes projected onto others, right? So then we start having prejudice toward other oppressed groups or members of the same group, right? When we see light-skinned, dark-skinned debates, or when we start seeing, oh, I'm too good, or the elitists or the bourgeoisie, then we can't ever get together. Conversation about healing because we're not healed. So, systems of oppression, we must have action, and we must have healing and resisting coincide. So, in terms of breaking this down, this is what I have come up with: resisting. So, we must resist oppression by combating and resisting through protest, consciousness raising, legislative initiatives, community organizing, community building, diversity training, developing multicultural competence, ally work, and that could look different. I'm not saying ally work in certain terms that it may look like in other words, but learning how to be allies with ourselves, because we don't even know how to be allies with different people. We can't even have the NOI, the RBG, and EFI in one room without a fight going on. So, we must learn how to become allies of each other. And also learn that everybody will not be in the same lane. I'm not doing no legislative initiatives. I'm going to tell you that up front. I can support my family who's doing the legislative initiatives and direct you to who maybe you should vote for, but I'm not going to probably be the one that's going to do it, because I know my lane is what? Healing and dealing. So I'm going to stay in that lane of healing and dealing, right? And so I'm going to support the other people that's in the other lanes, because we all need that. That is the resistance we need, right? And so if we introduce that resistance to those target groups and the individuals, then when internalized oppression is introduced, right, then we would then start seeing the healing process, because they would already be working through their feelings, being involved in that work, feeling such a shame, anger, hurt. They'd be able to name oppression because they're involved in the education of the resistance. They be witnessing because they be out on the streets helping our people. They be acknowledging oppression and its impact because they be having conversations about it. We be sitting together doing like what we're doing now. Systemic and intrapsychic, meaning that we're talking about it collectively. And I hope that everybody has pen, paper, and writing down some notes so you can go do some intrapsychic work for yourself, right? And then empathy building and restoring self-worth. So if all of this happened, right, This could be our healing and resistance. And instead of maintaining the cycle of oppression, we be maintaining the cycle of healing and resistance. Wow. Next slide. So the politics of internalized oppression, just to wrap up those slides, because I know that that was a lot. So these are 3 points that I want you to take away if you don't take away anything else. Internalized oppression can occur within cultural groups when members of the same target group begin to target each other, horizontal hostility, right? So we can internalize some oppression that we've experienced with each other, right? So there's some healing there that we have to do with each other. Rather than addressing the larger social problems contributing to oppression, individuals within a target group become alienated from each other, making constructive social change extremely challenging. This dynamic arises as a direct result of internalized oppression. So internalized oppression is not to get people just to be, relying on the government. It's to get people to be so separated from each other that they do rely on the government and don't even know how to communicate with each other to rely on the system of themselves. So it's a little bit deeper than that. It stops healing at all levels, right? Because we know together we rise, divided we fall, right? So if divided we fall, come on, we all right now. So cultural, institutional, and family messages prime individuals to partake in systems of oppression. Value judgments are assigned to individual traits and identities. So when we're engaged in this system, right, and we're taught through the educational system in the Western world, we internalize that our first encounter with history as ourselves is through slavery. We internalize all of the other things that we don't learn about in traditional schools. Like, I am very grateful for the school I went to, but I'm not naive that that was a privilege, because many people may not know that history. Many people may not have been able to travel to Mali and know, like, wow, Mali was one of the largest export systems in Africa, and they were rich, a rich country. Was not poor, not like how we're seeing through TV. It's not like that at all, guys. So it just is important that we're mindful of how we have internalized different oppressive messages at cultural and institutional levels, and how that's carried out in our families. So how can I heal using rap, Dr. A? Because we didn't have this around the mountain conversation that I love to have. So the first thing that you have to realize is that we are healed, right? There is a story in all of our cellular makeup that has sung healing for many years, many years. So we're already healed, right? We just have to continue to go through the journey of being healed. And when you look at it like that, man, you really can tap into the power of who we are. So I came up with this acronym of HEALED for us to remember we are healed. We must heal responsibly, right? When we think of internalized oppression, when we looked at those systems, right, it was someone's fault that they created those systems, but it's our responsibility to make sure that we're healing from them and not being reliant on them. We must encourage ourselves, because this healing is not fun. Like, a lot of people I know, we see the self-care challenge and the beautiful baths and I'm going to get a massage. But, a lot of my healing work really looked like me cuddled up in the bed, rocking back and forth like Smokey in the chicken coop, crying really hard. So, it wasn't pretty. Like, and you got to encourage yourself. Like, yes, I have to go through this process. And I was watching a video today, and someone said something, and it hit me, that depression is such a powerful thing because it causes you to sink so far within yourself that you have nowhere else to go. And being in that place too long, yes, that can become detrimental, but it is powerful, right? To think of the fact that you can go so deep within yourself to come out of that as a phoenix. So we have to encourage ourselves through whatever phase of life that we are in, and know that we're there for a reason. Know that there's people out there that want to help support you. Know that you have people sending collective love and energy towards you, and receive it. Receive it, because I know sometimes we have issues receiving, and I'm saying we. So we have to also accept the things we can't change, have the courage to change the things we can, and have the wisdom to know the difference. So we have to accept serenity, right? We know that's the serenity prayer. We must accept serenity. That's pretty much what that's saying. Accept that into our lives and let go. Like, let go. Erica Badu told us if we keep holding all them bags, we're gonna hurt our back. And who got time for these bad backs when we got work to do? I don't know if y'all feel the energy, but we got work to do. And the next step is saying engage in life. So we got to let go so we can engage in life and do this work. Okay. And then dedicate yourself to discipline. This is not a one and done son type of thing. This is a wham bam everyday ma'am thing. We have to wake up with healing on our mind. We have to wake up saying, I am healed. Let that be the affirmation. Say that for at least 7 days and see how you feel. I am healed. Not I'm healing. I'm trying to do better. I'm going to get better tomorrow. I'm healed. See how you feel after 7 days. Let's move on to the next slide. So what are the steps I can and you can use now? Here are the 6 steps that we're going to go through. And I'm so excited because I'm premiering a program that I'm launching and wanting to offer to different universities today. So, or organizations. So if you like this, be sure to hit me up. So the 6 steps. Number 1, accept that there's oppression and privilege in rap music. There's both. There's going to be oppression and there's going to be privilege. There's going to be some populations that have been so oppressed by rap music that they don't even want to hear this conversation. They don't even want to engage in this. We must be open to that population because we won't be able to heal if we're not. Then there's populations that have been privileged by rap music because we get to twerk, lurk, and dance all the time because it applies to us. So, there's oppression and privilege in rap music, and we have to be open to that. I'm not naive to the fact that rap music has hurt a lot of people, and I'm also not naive to the fact that it's helped a lot of people. So I'm open and making sure that's the first step that we do as a people. Number 2, identify our own oppression and privilege. Rap music wouldn't have oppression and privilege if we didn't have it in our bodies. So we have to identify it for ourselves, right? I understand that some of my ideas can be oppressive. I understand that some of the things that I have internalized can be oppressive. And I understand that having this degrees of privilege. I understand being able to speak from Africa is a privilege, being able to have lights. There's so many privileges in the things that I have. And then 3, you must identify your feelings. And sometimes this could be difficult. So it's at this level that I also say, identify your feelings and assess if they're at a level that you can monitor for yourself, or if you need some assistance along the way. So sometimes our internal guidance system, that's our GPS, our IGS, our internal guidance system can get a little wonky. And we just need a little help. So, Siri, sorry, I call my GPS Sharkeisha, but so, Sharkeisha might say, make a left right here. And then you go right. And then she's like, recalculating, right? So sometimes we might need somebody to say, recalculating, and help us along the journey. So it's at number 3. If you're listening to a loop of music, right? A loop. I know when I get into my Frank Ocean loop, I know when I get into, who's another, certain Kanye songs, certain artists, right? If I get into a certain loop on some of theirs, I know, okay, I either need to check in with my healer, I need to check in with a sister friend, somebody, or just sit in meditation with myself and figure out what's going on with my feelings, that this loop is consistently going, because there's a reason that music is, I'm attracting that energy and that energy is attracting me, right? And then number 4, that also ties in with 3, noticing the themes in the song that connect with the themes in your reality, because we're not just drawn to energy for any reason. Things always come to us for a purpose. Sometimes we have to monitor our thoughts, because thoughts are things, and things have wings, and they fly out and go grab the stuff we thinking, and then we get confused when it comes to us. So we have to be mindful of that. Then number 5, listen for positive messages that promote positive change. And y'all, on number 5, we must be mindful that the positive change you hear in the song might not just be somebody else's positive change, and that's okay. Like me saying Little Kim is my favorite rapper and that she empowered me to be the woman I am today may not be the most popular thing among other people. But guess what? I'm totally fine with that, because Little Kim had a positive message for me that was for me. Okay? So allow your positive message to promote positive change for you. And then identify ways in which you can produce this positive change in your reality and act. So like I said, I could still pull out that mantra. I put 100% in every line that I drop from Quiet Storm when I was 8 or 9, because that became my life mantra. Anything I do that I'm going to want to put 100% in it. Like if I'm going to get a degree in psychology, I got to become a psychologist. If I'm going to become a psychologist, I got to help heal people of African descent, not just in the United States, but all across the diaspora. So, I just always want to make sure that I'm acting on the things that are positive for me and the things I'm seeing and the messages I'm getting through the music. So those are the 6 steps. We can go to the next slide. So because this is for college students, I wanted to quickly give some psychoeducation, because I am a psychologist, about ways that you can advocate for yourself and seek mental health, especially in times that we're in now, right? So questions you can ask when seeking mental health services. Can I ask for a Black clinician? So I've worked in counseling in psychological services centers in different universities and colleges. And a lot of students would ask me, could I really ask for a Black clinician? Yes, you can. You can ask for a Black clinician and it's perfectly okay. And guess what? Maybe if you ask and the counseling center does not have any, that would cause them to start thinking about, wow, we need to make sure that we're being accommodating to all the students of our population. So we can't just expect things to happen. We must stand up and advocate for ourselves. And that can start with us saying, yo, can I have a Black clinician? Are there any Black clinicians? Now, you can't ask things like, what's their sexual orientation? Because those are things that are a little bit more protected legally, okay? But we can ask for a Black clinician. And you could also look at most counseling and psychological services has their clinicians or their healers on their website. You can look at the description that healer has, and then you can go in with questions based on what you read, what you like, don't like, and how it comes across your story. You can ask questions like, is it a safe space? And if they say yes right away, how do you make it a safe space for students that look like me? How many students that look like me actually come here? Because guess what? These counseling centers must keep these numbers. And if they have an internship site or any type of training site, they're triple mandated to have these numbers, because they have to report to the accrediting body these numbers to prove that they're matriculating scholars through their training programs, okay? Where is CAPS? So you want to know where on campus it is. And then now, since things are online, you want to know, are you providing telehealth? Are you, how does it work? Do I have to make appointments? Is it call in only? How often can I call in? These are questions. What is CAPS? Because each individual CAPS at each university is going to have their own vision, their own mission. So you want to understand that. And then lastly, but not least important, how can I make an appointment? Because they'll have a process of making an appointment, whether it's doing it online, doing a referral form, or having to do your intake first. So you want to understand the appointment process to decrease any anxiety going into the process. So I just want to give that to people to know how to advocate for yourself, just for pause for the cause for advocating. We can go to the next slide. So let's answer some questions. If anybody has questions, and if it's okay, go ahead. You can put them in the chat, and we're going to move on to the music. And I think when New Black City is doing their discussion, we'll pause after their discussion and then go to a question, if that's okay, Ms. Abdul-Bey.
Yes, Dr. A, you want to go ahead and go into questions, and then New Black City, and then you guys do the panel discussion or talk about the music. Is that what I understood? Yes. I'm trying to get some clarity.
Okay, so what I'm saying is if people have questions already, they can go ahead and start putting them in the chat. But I'm gonna go right into just introducing the new program in New Black City. Okay. And then what we'll do is when New Black City, after they perform, between each song, we'll address a question. Awesome. And then I'll ask you to help me out with that too, because you're such an awesome moderator.
Thank you. All right, appreciate it.
All right, so we can go to the next slide. So music at the Baobab. So Baobab tree is one of the oldest trees. It's even said to have been on the continent before the world struck out into different continents. And so really what this is music at the origination. So us coming back to our roots and tuning in with each other. And I'm so honored, like super, super honored. You guys don't even understand, for New Black City to be the premier group to work with me. Some of the members have worked with me before. Sauce, Martez, Macy. They are phenomenal guys. They're from the Kansas City region, Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, the Kansas City metropolitan area. And I remember the first person in the group that I got connected with was Sauce. And it was through my brother, Corey, who did my logo for Black Jewel. And I was telling him, I need some bomb artists. Like, I need bomb artists that are conscious, that's about the liberation of our people. He was like, no doubt, I know who to send you. Like, and he sent me Sauce's information. And I reached out. He was like, whatever you need, I'll come, I'll help. He came to do a workshop. And I mean, such a humble young man, like such a beautiful soul and spirit. And then he connected me with all these dope, amazing artists and invited me to speak at his album release party. I'll never forget that. I was so grateful for that, to be in the midst of, I mean, portal openers for real, because they are phenomenal at what they do. It's not just a thing that they're doing. Like, you could see the passion and you can feel the energy that they put into this. Like when Macy sings, you could, man, I mean, like, I feel it in my heart and I feel it in my solar plexus. Like, she gives me power. When Sauce raps, like, when he tilts his head back, it's almost like he's in a trance. Like, Ted's smooth voice is so melodic, like it just takes you to a whole nother world. Like, so I'm so geeked and I'm so excited to not only like introduce my family, but introduce hometown biz, like to be able to put on the town for the first time. Like, this is such a phenomenal and big thing for me. So I'm gonna put myself on mute, drink me some water, and enjoy the show and pop in and out as I'm allowed to do, because New Black City about to take us to a whole nother place, and I hope y'all ready.
I'm a new fan for sure.
Yes.
And I will put I'm gonna put their link from a sort of like a tiny desk almost. I think it's called the Coop. I'm gonna put that link in the chat for you guys to check out after this this session. Dr. A.
All right, so New Black City, we ready? Oh, we can see y'all.
Y'all can see us? Hey.
Yes.
What's up, y'all, man?
Dylan, can you put this on speaker's view?
Will do.
Thank you.
How's everybody doing? I hope y'all enjoying this great presentation. I've had the privilege of seeing Dr. A in action when she was at KU, Kansas University, and it was incredible seeing her link Africa to African American hip hop and all of the things that go along with it, as well as mental health and all of those things, man. So we are very grateful to be here. And I'm excited to be back performing. As a lot of artists know, it has been a rough, 10, 11 months for a lot of performing artists to be able to share their talents and their gifts and to be in front of people, especially on the stage because of COVID. So we are very always privileged to be able to do what we do, especially when it's linked to something very important as the National Day of Racial Healing and the work that Dr. A is doing. And so we are very excited. So we're going to do a few songs and we're going to pull out of those songs things that match those 6 steps that Dr. A just explained. And so we hope y'all like it. I'm going to do the first song. It's called Animals. We'll get into it. Yeah. And you ain't even got to put no auto-tune on it, bro. Like, I want them to hear my raw emotion, man. I want to know that it's real. Yeah. I want to provoke a thought, man, with this song, with this whole project. Yeah. Welcome to Animal Trap. Let's paint. Ghetto Picasso, Nina Chanel, all in my bottle. Look, they call me Sauce. I came to paint. This canvas dope. Say that it ain't. I call this piece Animal Trap to untranquilize our humanity backseat. All I see is animal traps in my hood. It's so scandalous. Lost, no Angeles. Well, I'm from Kansas City, where they got tech nines, no angelic, and a stranger than all moral deficit. See, the angel of death is benevolent. The potions he give her like heaven sent. They make spells of hatred and arrogance mixed with the illegal usage of weapons. And you can hear mamas who summon the ambulance. Her baby got turned into cannabis. He got sacrificed in the afterlife. They said voodoo and boo, he ain't having chance. See, my people trapped. Look, I cannot sit back and watch it do nothing with my people trapped. Yeah, they want me to shut up, but I just keep going because my people trapped. Yeah, and there's churches on every corner, but all I see is my people trapped. Yeah, and Lord, we wait for you. Can you hear us? Cause my people trapped. Look, you reap what you sow, and the reaper, he knows it. They tell you to get it. Not knowing them traps are just set up to get you. I swear they gon' get you. See, it's like we lost love for life in my hood, but I heard different from all of the elders who get it and lived a long life in my hood. They say, what's going on? Look, see, we were so strong. Yeah, where did we go wrong? Yeah, is it a lost cause? Listen, look, I don't know, but the same men and women on the corner that you judging me, love so abundant, riding around with his heat, trying to duck his enemies, got the face of a lion, and don't know that he's a king, and she don't know that she's a queen. Nobody taught him history, only syndromes and symptoms of slavery and Jim Crow and peonage and black codes and miseducation, mass incarceration in the nation, man, my people trapped. Okay, I cannot sit back and watch and do nothing when my people trapped. Yeah, and they want me to shut up, but I just keep going because my people trapped. Yeah, and there's churches on every corner, but all I see is, yeah, one more time, look. One more time, hey, say he got sacrificed in the afterlife. They said voodoo and boo, he ain't have a chance. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, church. All right, all right, all right. So that was animals. Could y'all hear me good?
Yes, we can hear you. We just the music may be turned up just a little bit if possible.
Okay. All right. So that was animals off an album I did in 2017 called Animal Trap. It was the intro track. And around that time, I was at UMKC in the urban studies program in a Black Studies minor, and studying a lot about community organization and why the hood is the hood and why the suburbs are the suburbs. And I was reading this book called The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander, and I was learning about mass incarceration and like the evolution of basically how America has continued to enslave Black bodies specifically, but now also brown bodies as well. And learning about the facts and the history and just everything about peonage. And I said it in the song, like, you know, slavery and peonage and black codes, like learning about all these things definitely made me realize the centuries and the constant oppressions that we are put through in America specifically. And like, it just made me really like reflect on making an album strictly addressing that. So that's where that came in, and thinking about those oppressions as well. I also think about still to this day how I'm still privileged more than other people as well, more than Black women, more than Black trans women, more than disabled people as well, more than I'm financially well off more than other people, and that's a privilege that I have to address as well when I'm understanding the intersectionality of different oppressions and how I can help and how I can be a voice not only for Black males but for other people as well. So that song really, like, I wanted to really bring that out and talk about being trapped and, like, the whole idea of an animal trap, like being purposefully hunted and trapped, like a bear or a rabbit in the woods. Thinking about Dr. A's points, it kind of went hand in hand with the song. So
Yes. Thank you. Dr. A.
All right, I don't see any questions in the chat, so we can go on to the next song. And then audience members, if you have questions, just remember that we're gonna check them in between each song. So you might just want to drop them in the chat if you have any questions, whether it's for me, New Black City, you can ask those questions. So take us away, y'all. Wonderful.
All right, let's do it. So this next song we're gonna do is called "The Rain," and we'll talk about it a little bit more after we perform it. So here we go. I need this. Check. Trouble hit my way when I break me way down. Gravity got a hold of me, pulling me way down. The rain is coming, the sky is falling. We got battle scars from everywhere we go. Yeah, shit, we good, we good, and we good, and we good, oh we good, we good. I feel good, I feel good. We still good, we still good, and we good, and we good. We still good, we still good. Check. My uncle told me I was super crazy, so amazing in the same state. They said that brain you got so damn creative, better guard yourself. Never let them say you. So I've been knowing I've been on it. I've been for knowing what I've been. My lips, straight to my pain. You heard what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying? I'm beyond my 80s, baby. You know what that means? Rival breakers, you know what that means? 80s, you know what that means? You know what that means? I don't bother nobody. I just parlay with my posse and my Friday on my side. Keeping me calm, keeping me trouble headed my way for the bring me way down. Gravity got a hold of me, pulling me way down. The rain is coming, see the sky is falling. We got battle scars from every war we fought. Yeah, and we good. We good. I feel good. I feel good. I feel good. We still good. We still good. And we good. We still good. We still good. The truth is, I always wanted to be famous. Change the box. I'm talking Corvettes of blood jets for beaches and sunsets. The Lord, I want you black. And they thought I was able to maintain the same thing around out killing that boy Kane. Trapped in a different world, the way it rains. Shot back with the heat on my back, the way it rains. I ain't gonna make this shit had a rough beginning. My mama told me go find a private today. Well, mama, I'm just having my time to use my mind. But I know who my brains is. I can spot the sticks through the hedges. When I step out, not to make a mistake. Never take a minute. Got ready to drink trouble. Spit in my face, wanna bring me way down. Gravity got a hold of me, pulling me way down. The rain is coming, see the sky is falling. We got battle scars from every war we fought. Yeah. Say we good. We good. We good. Oh, we good. Oh, we good. I feel good. I feel good. I feel good. I feel good. We still good. We still good. Hey, we good. Hey, we good. We still good. We still good. Check. Trouble headed my way, wanna bring me way down. Way down. Gravity got a hold of me, pulling me way down. Way down. The rain is coming, see the sky is falling.
We got battle scars from every war we fought in. Yeah. Say we good. We good. Ain't we good? Ain't we good? Oh, we good. Oh, we good. I feel good. I feel good. Say I feel good. I feel good. We feel good. We feel good. Ain't we good? Yeah. Yeah. I hope that sounded a little better. Did y'all hear me? Did y'all hear this?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Finger snaps, pops, clapping.
Right on, right on.
Yes.
It's
Somebody
just,
said rich messages coming
Oh.
faster than my instant reactions can keep up with.
Hey, thank you, thank you, thank you. So once again, that song was called "The Rain," the REIGN, right? That was off of an album that I put out in 2017, called Over Moons. And during that time period, personally, it was a lot going on, and I was in but before I created that album, I was in a dark space, right? And just going through things, and I kind of woke up one day and was like, listen, I have to kind of make the decision mentally to put myself in a better place. It's gonna start with me mentally, right? So the album title Over Moons came from, they're saying I'm over the moon. So I'm over the moon. I'm happy about or excited about where I'm going. Once I changed my mentality, once I said, you know what, man, I ain't gonna let nothing get me down. Right. Once I say, hey, I'm good. We got battle scars from everywhere we fought in, but we good, right? So I'm like, hey, I'm it's time for us to it's time for me personally. It was about me, but it's time for us to step up, right? It's time for us to go ahead and get the things that we and get to the things that the outcomes and all the things that we're trying to get to. So yeah, that song, it was personal, but I think that it definitely aligns with the with the points that Dr. A kind of put out there for us. And yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I hope y'all got a good message from it.
absolutely. We absolutely did. One of my favorite songs, along with Sunshine. And I think Sauce, you did one other one. I have it from the video that you sent, but I put your link in the chat twice so that I know we're having a little technical sound difficulty, but you guys definitely have to check them out again after this session and really hear and be able to listen to the lyrics and the music. Thank you.
Definitely. All right, y'all. So we good to go to the next. We don't have any questions. Guys, remember, you're free to ask any questions, whether it's about the theory, questions about how else can we heal, maybe what would that look like. So definitely feel free to ask away. This is the last song.
Yeah, go ahead and put your questions in there. We wanna talk to y'all. We definitely wanna, speak a little bit.
Got some good comments.
Right.
No questions yet.
Test got a nap. This will have test. You got me going crazy. I'm about to lose my mind. Get pushing back and scraping up for every little freaking guy. Sunshine, you ain't never got to want for nothing on my life. Come and give your heart money, so nothing. Dark skin, brown eyes, long hair. Oh my baby, baby, my precious baby, baby. Don't let them worry you, baby. Don't let them waste your time. You're so beautiful, lady. Don't let them save your life. It is our job to educate our children
children so in the future they can educate themselves. We are their future as well as they are our future. So let's stop pointing the finger and let's be accountable. This is our job. Oh, yeah. Brown skin, brown eyes, long hair. Oh my, 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 oh my. Girl, you got them going crazy out here, got to lose their mind. Keep pushing, don't mind it. You are one of a kind. Sunshine, you ain't ever got to stress on nothing. On that guy, go ahead and show this. You are the one. You are the one. I am the one. You are the one. Turn up. That is my song Black Girl Lullaby. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That is from my latest album called Warning Signs of True Love. That was actually my first album. Every song that I wrote on here really meant a lot. As a matter of fact, I almost got emotional singing this song because it's really about my daughter. And just being a role model for her, because of course, as Black women, and we face so much. Sorry, I did not mean for this to happen.
No, don't.
But as Black women, we face so much, and it's just like, you know, my daughter is a dark-skinned chocolate baby, and you know, the things that she had experienced just as a child, you know, going into like a predominantly white school, like she would come home and, you know, talk about how they would talk to her and be mean. And I'm just like, you know, you have to ignore what they're saying because you are destined for greatness. And the only reason why they would be telling you that is to stop you in your tracks because they know that you are for something. And so that is my positive message to all Black kids, is to not allow this world to, you know, stereotype you and put you in a place because that's not where you belong. There is a place for you and it's greatness. And that's my positive message. You know, they take, you know, the melanin, the strong mind, and the deep roots, and they put it against you. That's why I said, oh my, like, you know, like the lions and tigers and bears, like, you know, make that fierceness like your weapon, and you know, take over basically. So.
Thank you.
Yes.
That was beautiful. It was beautiful. And
Macy,
no, go ahead, Dr. A.
I was just gonna give Macy this compliment because that reminded me of Nina Simone, Young, Gifted, and Black. So you better be the common Nina Simone defecating on the microphone, sis.
Wow.
Yes. And I love the lyrics, but I just wanted to say that, you know, oftentimes we don't want to cry, or we feel like, why am I doing this? And that's just a part of our healing. Like, there is a study that says a good cry will help you like live longer and you feel better. You just feel better. And I know if I have a good one, I do feel better about it. And I think we should allow ourselves to let things go. And I loved how you did that through this song. And so thank you. And I think we have some questions. Dr. A, you want to get those in the chat?
Yes. So definitely we must release and remember part of being healed is to let go. So Moby Mondays asked a really great question, and I'm gonna let New Black City take this because it's directed towards you guys. So Tej, you asked for the question, here you go. As artists, do you feel like your responsibility ends at producing content with beauty, authenticity, and integrity, and your work clearly demonstrates? Or do you also think there is some part of the work to compete in an industry full of toxic content that our enemies created infrastructure to mass distribute? In other words, should you be strategic about marketing and making your art accessible to youth that might have a hard time finding you? I know y'all
So
got
I'll
Bond.
take the first. I know everybody probably got something to say on this, but yes, personally, um, I feel as though it's my responsibility to deliver um, music that's authentic, that is inspirational, that is that that's a real testament to things that I've been through. Um, and it is it to say the least, it is kind of difficult. It to me, I found it to be difficult at first, kind of being this artist that this artist like a Common or somebody like that. People put you in those categories, and usually those aren't the artists that sell so many records. They don't go platinum and all of those things. But my experience has actually been one that one that's been really good. Like people receive authenticity. They receive, people who are organic. It might not be, like I said, it might not be on the mainstream, but you do have mainstream artists in it. And really here recently, the biggest artists like from Kendrick Lamar to a J. Cole and some of these other artists just like that, they opened up that lane for artists like me and Macy and Sauce to just be organic and authentic. And I think people and just let the music speak for itself, and people receive that well. And so far, man, we've been pretty fortunate to be able to build whole careers off of being our authentic selves, and that's the biggest blessing, in my opinion, that's come out of this experience.
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna say that point about Kendrick and J. Cole. I mean, when they drop, they're at the top of the charts constantly. I mean, you might have a million other rappers rapping about whatever or whatever, but you always have that soul of hip hop that's always gonna shine through. And even if you have a rapper that's, you know, on something else, they might have a song on their album where they talking about some real life stuff too. Like it's always gonna shine through. Like it's just a piece of hip hop, and I think everybody experiences it differently. And I learned this. We was doing a class with a group called Teens in Transition. Me and Tez have a hip hop education program where we teach creative writing and technology and stuff like that as well. And this class was supervised by police. These kids were supervised. They were in trouble or whatever, and they brought us in to do the hip hop class. And the guys were rapping some of the regular stuff you might hear in Kansas City rap. Just a lot of the street stuff. And one of the police officers was like, "Man, why you rapping about what everybody else rapping about? Why don't you rap about something that relates to you?" He was like, "I'm rapping about what everybody else rapping about because we all go through the same thing."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yo, I never thought of it like that. Like it's a message even in the wildest stuff you might hear. Like
True.
somebody is not only entertained by that, but affected by that. Like you might save somebody by that. Like you never know. Like a lot of people, you hear a lot of artists get messages from the fans like, "Hey man, this song saved me from suicide." And it might not be the song that you might think of that would do that, but it might be the emotion, it might be the feeling, he might say something just, I don't know. It's just different, man. And just depending on where you are, I just say stay true to yourself, of course, but figure out what lane you in. Like I figured out like I'm in a little bit of a different lane than most rappers. So I have to make sure that I appeal to the people that have been supporting me, that I think that will support me, my prospect audience, my target audience, but also I'm also doing stuff with people that might be in a different lane. So I'm kind of cross promoting and doing some fusion marketing at the same time. So you never know. You might hear me on I 13. You might hear me on 99.6, alternative radio. You never know, but like I definitely agree with Ted's like, just carve out your own path and go at it, but stay true to yourself.
Right. But even what he was saying though, like just about the song, like he said, like the different lanes, like there's different types of music that we make that's still authentic. Like I'm married with a kid, right? So I mean, I'm definitely gonna make music about my wife and my daughter. You know what I mean? And that appeals to probably not my I guess my usual following, but there's a whole other group that's kind of in that same lane, or they can relate to that. They like, well, dang, that's dope. I want to listen to that. I want to vibe to that. So I mean, I don't know. I just think there's a lot that you can do. Period. Like just like South saying, just being organic and being your authentic self, and letting all your talent shine through.
And the last thing on this question, and I do believe that artists have a responsibility with the talent that they have with using words and rhythm and musicality, with putting something out in the world that will inspire to goodness. We come from a long legacy of, I mean, all of our art has been about progressing and coming from nothing and growing and being better and all of these things. Like I think about Nina Simone, what she mentioned earlier, and I think about the artists like that and where they came from, the things they went through at that time. And then you think about how those social issues have evolved. We have artists that are on the forefront talking about those things. We also have artists that are making fun party music. So when you're not thinking about those things, you can relax and have a good time and get your mind right and get ready to go back into the world. So I think it all goes hand in hand. Do I think that the music industry may have hands in it and dark money in it that promotes certain things? Of course. But I think when you're, for us specifically, it's all about staying true to yourself and kind of, going in your lane.
I think controlling the message is definitely something artists uh, have the ability to really just do, is controlling a message. And I just feel like, it's I always try to avoid that question because it's just like I like to make cool, fun music too and not be serious all the time. But it's just like, especially, times right now, you just almost feel obligated. That's really the only thing that's on your mind that you're writing and experiencing. So you only have to share that experience with other people. And I feel like everybody has, their crowd. They have their mission, they have their purpose within their music and their art, if that's what they are really here for. So it's just like you're gonna shine no matter what. I like I said, I have an album that not the whole world has not heard yet, but the people that have heard it, they come to me and like, hey, this song meant this to me. And just one person hearing that or telling me that, it makes a world of a difference in knowing that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Yes, that is wonderful. Like, thank you so much. The link to their music, Dr. Cartman, is in the chat, and I believe Mrs. Abdul-Bey may put it in
I'll
again.
put it back in. Yeah,
So you have to scroll.
I got you.
Okay. So, okay. I see we have one more question by Mr. West. Great. This is a great question. So I'm thinking a lot about having real conversations with people at different places and both awareness of and healing despite the oppression that's soaked into and seeping out of the places we're living in and that our perspectives are coming from. You all are way far along in the process of knowing and self-healing as each of these tracks are showing. Okay, so what questions have you learned to ask and what things have you learned to say? Let's start, but also keep a conversation going with people who are not yet as far along as you are. What do you say when they're the same race, when they're different? What keeps both of them and you open to talking more and learning more and hopefully changing more? So I'll kind of answer this question from the lens of the artist who's a hip hopologist and psychologist, freaking hip hop for mental health. And then I'll let New Black City also talk about it, as you guys are artists, scholars who are also freaking mental health and Black culture through hip hop. in rap music. So in terms of, I'm gonna pull this up, make sure. What things have you learned to say? I've learned just to tell my story and to weave that into the narrative of my research, because our stories really are our research. It's just our stories coming through a number form. And so we have to connect with our stories to understand the numbers. Also, that keeps this conversation going because it makes other people comfortable to share their stories. It makes people be able to see themselves in a reflection of themselves. And that matters, right? Because we know representation matters, especially for Black and Brown individuals. And what do you say when they're the same race, when they're different? So this may be, New Black City may have a different response, but I don't say anything different depending on the race, because I'm here for the liberation of African psyche, and it's going to be the same regardless of the race. That's for me. So when I go into a room, regardless of who it is, I'm going to talk from the reality of what it is to be oppressed as an African in America and across the diaspora. I'm going to speak to the reality of what it means to have privilege and to be able to work in a system that has oppressed other people. So I think it's important to be mindful of what does it mean to say something different when there's different races in the room, and how we might be coddling certain people and allowing them to get away with things, and avoiding having just real conversations about what does healing truly look like and who's responsible for what healing. So I think it's important for us to be able to have these candid, open conversations, regardless of who's in the room. And what keeps both them and you open to talking more, learning more, and hopefully changing more. What I've seen is going in, just being authentic. Like, I know that may seem like super generic, but that's what I've seen that has really helped. People may cringe at the statistics. People may be hurt, right, by the reality of life as African America and across the diaspora, but people can connect with real, right? Like, people connect with real regardless, and that allows them to remain real with themselves to then engage in the conversation. So that's what I've seen through doing this work and engaging with different audiences, doing different hip hop healing groups. I've just seen, I've seen college students open up. I remember when Nipsey Hussle passed away. I remember the group after he passed away. I remember one of the Black males came to that group and literally was safe enough to break down in a space where he felt validated, that somebody will understand what it meant to lose such a monumental rapper. That somebody knew, like, okay, this is someone you placed in the role of a brother, a father figure, someone whose lyrics has become a mantra for your everyday life. My word for 2021 is dedication, hard work plus patience. That's Nipsey. So, like, rap is something that is in our DNA because it's literally like whispers of our ancestors coming back through us, right? So just being mindful of that and holding space, right? Like, just holding space for generations, because certain generations of rap music is going to look different. Some generations will tell you that they don't even listen to rap music, they only listen to hip hop. So, it's different things, and we have to remain open, because if we're not open, we'll lose a lot of our healing, because our youth won't want to talk to our older generation, our older generation won't want to talk to our youth, and we'll lose the history in between. And so that's my answer. New Black City, from the artist perspective, scholar perspective, you guys have any additional points?
I guess I'll say, what questions have you learned to ask and what things have you learned to say to start, but also keep a conversation going with people who are not yet as far along as you are. What do you say when that's saying things?
He's just going over the question, trying to make sure we.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get my answer together. So, like, and even with something as serious as mental health and healing and etc. Because we do shows everywhere, from we the elementary schools to colleges to bars to the biggest venues in Kansas City, and all over the nation. We performed in a lot of different cities and states, and we are, we know our music already has kind of a positive element to it. A lot of some deeper messages, and we definitely try to keep it fun to keep people dancing. But like with that, people come up to us after shows, and your music was great, etc. But they always like, hey, this song, man, I was really listening to these lyrics, and this really touched me. Like, and this really, so that always gives me an opportunity to talk to people a little bit deeper. You might spend a little bit of time after the show talking to somebody about something, real. And I'm the type of person, like, I hate small talk. So like, I want to know, like, bro, how you doing? Like, how your people's doing? Like, if you hear me, if you like, if a rapper inbox me and just send me his music, I want to respond. But if he like, yo, hey, what's up, bro? How you doing, man? I hope all is well with you. Like, that invites me, like, okay, we can actually talk and conversate about something. And so it always gives me like an opportunity to like see how people are doing, and finding a way to maybe encourage them, or vice versa. So I always try to be just real and authentic. No matter the race. It's always special when you get to definitely share those things with other Black people, because they are um, go through the similar things that you do a lot, as being a raced person in America. But I try to keep it the same, whether I'm in front of some of our predominantly white crowds, or if we among brothers and sisters. Like, it really don't matter to me. Like, if somebody want to talk, we can talk. I had one guy talking to me about alcoholism, and how he just lost his car and his apartment, and I just, treat it like I would talk to anybody else about him, try to encourage him. So I hope that's making sense. Um, yeah, so that's what keeps it going, just being interactive and being attentive as well. I never try to be like, the artist is on stage and you can't come talk to me. Like, I always try to be like, we right here. And I want my music to reflect that, but I want my life to reflect that as well. Like, I'm always right here with you. So
I mean, yeah, he pretty much said, what I would say. I mean, yeah, fortunately, with music, especially if you're at an event or something like that, it kind of is it makes it easy for people to have something to relate to you, and then your lyrics, and if they listen to you, sort of like now. So I mean, I think, of course, I remain who I am. I mean, and when talking to people, I stay open. I don't try and shun people off. And you're gonna get me all the time. Um, and but if it's a conversation where someone needs encouragement, of course we're gonna sit there, we're gonna talk through that. And I'm always open to share my stories about how I've gone through things, and just trying to be relatable, and being a human being to other human beings. You know what I mean? And so I mean, I don't know if that necessarily answers or addresses the question, but I think that in a nutshell, we kind of remain who we are around people, and stay open for dialogue at any point in time.
Yes. Thank you so very much. We have some comments in the chat. Sherry said, "Come to New York."
Yes,
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
New York,
yeah. We ain't been to New York, but
New York.
who
We
did we
coming.
we opened up for what's the dudes from New York?
We opened up for a band out of New York. They did a Tiny Desk concert with not Cardi B, Megan Thee
Megan Thee
Stallion.
Stallion, Megan Thee Stallion.
Uh,
Phony people,
Phony
phony people out of New York, and they cold blooded too. So we've been trying to
Yeah.
connect with them ever since then. But
And you know what? They really loved our show, and they was like, "Yo, y'all need to come to New York. Like, people would love y'all. Y'all need to come to New York." But we ain't been yet. But when all this is over, New York.
yeah, we coming, we coming.
I'm trying to push you guys.
Yo, Brooklyn.
I'm trying to push you guys on Dr. A in Tanzania. I made that comment.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or what?
We trying to go to Africa? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Look, and by now I'm sure y'all know my mastermind self. I may duck off for a couple years, then pop up like, "Hey, y'all ready?"
Yeah, we
This
be
time
ready
it'll
when
be
you
about a
come.
month or two.
Sherry says super dope. And then she said Brooklyn. So yes, some great comments. And I just want to say thank you guys for your healing tonight, because what you did thank you for, uh, you know, sharing your music, your gift, your talent, your energy with us to allow us to heal. Um, and we just really appreciate that. I just wanted to say that, and your wisdom and knowledge of, you know, music and what you've been doing with young people. That's so important. Um, I just wanted to say that, Dr. A, first, because I know you. um, is there anything you wanted to say, Dr. A, to wrap the session up, to our listening and viewing audience, and also New Black City? Is there anything you want to leave us with?
Yes. Um, One, just remember that we've been healing ourselves for a very long time and we will continue to do so, and we are healed, already done. Two, never, never underestimate the power of the music we create. Three, liberate yourself and the people around you every day. And then to New Black City, you all already know where you are in my heart. I'm so grateful for you all. There's never been a time that I have called and said, "Hey, I need y'all." And you said no. So for that, I'm so grateful. I'm grateful to know artists such as yourselves. I'm grateful for the work that you're doing. Like, it makes me so proud to say I'm from Kansas City. To know that there are artists who exist like you and who are doing the work, right? Not just being an artist, but doing the work of being a scholar, an artist, a healer, just a wonderful vibration. So I'm super grateful for you all. I'm honored to be able to work with you all. And thank you to everyone who has tuned in. If you'd like to learn more about myself, I do have a podcast, BLVK, Jewel, JEWEL. We're going into our third season. And y'all, I'm in Tanzania, so y'all know it's gonna be all the way turned up and live. I have a lot of great content, so I'm grateful and thank you so much, Arkansas Peace and Justice Memorial Movement. Thank you especially to Miss Clarice Abdul-Bey and Kwame Abdul-Bey. I'm just grateful, and Lauren. Grateful for you all so much. And that's what I wanted to share. My heart is just so filled.
Thank you. We love you and we appreciate you greatly. Thank you so much for your time and your energy, especially when it's like almost 3 o'clock in Tanzania. So thank you so much. We love you. And we
Almost 4
appreciate
a.m.
4 a.m. Okay. New Black City, would you like to take us out on some maybe some action steps, or some, you know, something you can give to us uh as relates to healing, music or gifts or just whatever? We'll take it.
Can we do a song?
Sure.
All right. So this song, um, you know, for everybody out there, man, with an idea, with a dream, with a goal, something their purpose, something they feel like they're supposed to be doing. Like, this song is dedicated to y'all. And me and Tej wrote this song, man, when we started our second tour, I think. And you know, it was this idea of like going at, like, we gonna do it. Like, we figured out how to tour a little bit more effectively and save money. We're just like, you know what? Let's just do it, bro. Let's write down the cities we want to go to. Let's call promoters. Let's tell them who we are, what we do. Let's send them a video of us performing. Let's go out there and let's blow up. And this song's called Blow Up. So we're going to leave this with y'all. Yeah. We going to do this smooth. Like, we're usually up, you know, moving around, but we're going to sit down and keep it smooth. Yeah. Yeah. Listen. So we on the verge of something. I'm here. Everybody working with something, but I promise that it's not this. Fire in me so legit, flow on. I keep couple hockey sticks, and I got soul like I have to throw all up off the cliff. They ain't no see me ever rap, do shows like never rap, and I ain't worried about impressive rap niggas. I'm just trying to stack my fans up. I want to eat from Atlanta, California, Alabama, all the festivals that matter. Illinois, Louisiana, way up in Canada. Canvas. I cook with a bottle from Kansas. Oh, homies like tumors. And I had to cut out the cancer. I'm a doctor with the sauce. I'm operating on my flaws. And every time I took a loss, I made it back at all costs. It said something gotta blow. God showed me that I got it all. It was deep down there, had to reach when the street tried to knock me off. Said something gotta blow. God showed me that I got it all. It was deep down there, had to reach when the street tried to knock me off. You're on the verge of something. Blow up in. And you've been hustling. Yeah. Blow up in. When it's almost time for the glow up, cause you been grinding, you been gritting. Now it's time for you to blow up in. You on the verge of something. Blow up in. And you've been hustling. Yeah. When it's almost time for the glow up, cause you been grinding, you been gritting. Now it's time for you to blow up. And we on the verge of something. This took courage and gumption. Now we ain't working for nothing. And all black like Kodak, raps till they hit like Kodak. Now we got the format, cats on the door like doormat. Wouldn't mess with us waiting for that. Something was so underlined. People be covered in grime, but I got the heart of a line. And what we created sublime. I got faith around my mind. Yeah, I'm on that type of time. And we ain't even in our prime. We still got mental that decline. And we don't do no artificial. Artifacts come through pixels. On the plain white dot tissues. Artifacts made for my issues. Issue ready to go. I know we reap what we sow. I took the seed in my soul. How about that personal growth? I don't know something I know. I know there's something I know. That's how I'm about to blow. And that's the feeling in my soul. And that's the feeling you should know. Make a diamond out of coal. I know something gotta blow. And that's the feeling in my soul. And that's the feeling you should know. And make a diamond out of coal. So you're a bird to something. Blow up. And you've been hustling. Blow up. When it's almost time for the glow up, cause you've been grinding, you've been gritting. Now it's time for you to blow up. You're on the verge of something. And you've been hustling. Blow up. When it's almost time for the glow up, cause you've been grinding, you've been gritting. Now it's time for you to blow up. Blow up. Blow up. Little background music for you. Blow up, then. Everybody in Arkansas. Blow up, Dr. H.E.A.L.E.D already done. Blow up, then. Yeah. Blow up, then. Yeah. Blow up, then. Yeah. Thank ya. Blow up, then. Yeah. Blow up, then. Yeah. So that was blow up. Yeah. Thank you. And Macy had to leave. Real quick, she had a dance practice she had to go to, but she wanted to leave her thank yous with y'all and let y'all know she enjoyed her time. So
thank you. You guys went off. I appreciate you, Tez, Sauce, Macy. We thank you. We appreciate you. We send you love and peace. Thank you so much for, again, this is how we heal. And so we wanted to bring this aspect of healing to the art of racial healing and the National Day of Racial Healing in the state of Arkansas. And so we are so grateful and so thankful. And UCA, our partners just said this was so great. And we want to thank them we appreciate them for hosting this art of racial healing, Heal Through Hip Hop. Thank you so much, UCA, for being an amazing partner and an amazing sponsor. Also, JCA, Just Communities of Arkansas. Thank you guys for being amazing partners and sponsors. We appreciate you again. New Black City, y'all are just, again, you got new fans. You do. And so we appreciate you. And we look forward to more creative music and more healing that you are doing out in the world. And hopefully we can work with you again sometime in the future. Thank you so much for your time and effort. Dr. A, we love you. You know we do. Thank you for hooking us up with this amazing band and this amazing group of talented and gifted individuals. Thank you for your healing. Thank you for all that you do. And we love you and send you so much love in Tanzania and can't wait to come and visit you. To everyone who was watching, who hung in there, who was with us, thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed it. We got some good comments and we feel the love and we just appreciate you. And we have a whole week long of sessions and different things happening for the National Day of Racial Healing. And you can check us out at Eventbrite, National Day of Racial Healing in the state of Arkansas for more of those sessions. Love you guys. Have a wonderful night. And this is how we heal. Peace. Oh, hashtag this is how we heal with your experience from tonight. anything that you want to say about the music and all of that. Hashtag how we heal. Dr. A, make sure you give some information so that we can make sure we get your information out there so people can contact you in the future. Okay.
Okay, I will. I'll get
All
it to
right.
you.
Okay. Well, good night, guys.
Thank you so
Be
much.
safe. Peace and love to you. Thank you so much.
All right, have a good night.